All right, guys. I know it's Wednesday, Real Talk Tuesday with Georgine. Um, I hope you guys are doing good today. Again, if it's your first time on my channel, this should be on Facebook and YouTube. However, the case, I do these real talk to conversate about real life situations, things that are going on, whether it's social media or in the public. We don't cover a lot of politics on here because we're not here to judge people and we're not here to tell people what's right and wrong. We're here to give an opinion, to talk about stuff, to alleviate stress, to have a more exciting lifetime as your experience. So, again, if you haven't been on my page before, go back and watch some of the ones I posted on social media, Facebook, and also on YouTube. I just took this to YouTube platform, so there's not a ton of content on there. But again, Facebook was deleting it every 30 days, so that's why we're doing it on both platforms now. All right. So again, I'm in the business of real estate. However, I've been coaching with real estate coaches and Tony Robbins team and life coaching, and learned a lot of things about life that I figure I would love to share with other people. Just to have conversation about simple things in life that I think should be simplified so that we can better understand where we are in life and what we're trying to do. I've also launched a coaching platform with my wife. If you guys want to know more about it, comment below or message me. Um, so today we are going to cover the topic that I had this long discussion with my brother last week about, which we have always good conversations about life and financial wealth and business and outdoors life, since we love doing that. However, we came across the topic of dating, and I thought I would, shed some light to give you guys some insight, because I know there are still many of you guys who are single or divorced or looking, never, maybe never married. Um, Also, if it's not you, it's somebody that you know. Um, it does not matter what your background is. It does not matter who you are, what country you're from. I think most people have the same challenge, because your identity that you attach to yourself, that is kind of how you view the world, right? Whether it's in politics or sports or life or relationship, it is very similar, right? There's a saying that says, how you do anything is how you do everything. Some things we do may be a little bit different, but most ways that we view things are very similar to the identity that we have for ourselves. So I wanted to cover something that I think is very simple. However, I think that is very complicated for some people. Maybe it's been a long time. Maybe you just never been good at this space, or maybe it's time to relearn. And I'm not telling you I'm a specialist. I'm not telling you I have professional training on this. It's just through life training, observation, and intellectual conversations, and a lot of common sense, I would say. However, the case, I want to talk about, if you haven't been in a relationship for a long time, maybe it's your first date, maybe it's jumping back in the dating pool, whatever the case is. I just want to have a conversation with you, whether you're male or female or whatever you consider yourself, it does not matter. But let's have a fun conversation about relationship, right? And again, be I'd be happy to read comments that you want to post, things you'd like to share. Please like, subscribe, and share with other people on my YouTube channel so that we can have more conversations like this. You don't always have to pay for a coach out there if you just go out there and spend some time talking to people. However, the case, in some instance, you do have to pay for a coach to really get what you need to get done in your life, so you stay on track and master whatever it is you're trying to do, right? You hire the right coach for that reason, and they will take you to the finish line. All right. So in this case, let's talk about the first dates. Okay. How do you become successful in your first date again as you're coming back into the pool? Okay. Or if it's your first time, how do you jump back in and be successful, without question, without worry? What things to think about? What should you ask and what you should not ask? Okay. So first, let's start with the ideology of like why you're getting into a relationship, or why you're thinking about one, or how do you talk to somebody in general. Okay. Especially the opposite sex that you like, or whoever it is that you like, how do you talk to them? I would say first and foremost, you have to take out this notion that you're trying to marry somebody or you're trying to build this awesome relationship, or who knows if it's even a relationship. Okay, I would say first and foremost, one of the biggest mistakes that I always hear about, and I've experienced this myself. Sometimes you either like the person too much, or you don't like them enough, or you're confused, you don't know, and most of the time you're not going to know enough about a person. Okay, however, take that idea out. Take the idea you like them and don't like them and don't know them. Take all of that out. You should break it down by making it very simple. Okay, first and foremost, just tell yourself, do I want to get to know this person, right? Don't make it complicated, and just talk to them like a person that you went to work with and your first day on the job. And how are you doing? How long you been here? Like, ask simple questions, whether it's at work or whether it's in person or whether it's at a show that you go to, or whether it's at a bar, whatever it is that you want to do, right? I would say keep it very simple. Stop thinking you got to like them, they got to like you, and you got to be a perfect fit, or like they got to like what you like, right? Stop assuming and speculating that they have to be a certain way, right? Sometimes I think that people are looking for things or people just like you, or you're looking for somebody better than you, or you're looking for somebody that's got high achievement, right? You don't know who is the right fit for you in your lifetime. I promise you guys this, okay? You don't know who's the right fit for you. You don't know what they look like. You don't know how they act. You don't know who they really are, okay? Now, you could set a standard, okay? And we're not going to dig that deep today. However, in your coaching, if you're coaching with somebody, this is what you would do, okay? You would build a system to understand, who am I looking for? Who am I not looking for? What are the questions I should ask? How do I script practice this? How do I get comfortable talking about myself? And how do I get comfortable talking to people, right? You could practice all this, and that's what coaching is for, okay? However, today we're going to keep it very broad, very general, and just keep it as a conversation, right? How do you just get to know somebody for who they are and not what you think they should be, right? Stop making it bigger than what it is. Just have a conversation about, um hi, what's your name? Or, how long you've been here. If you met them at work, keep it very simple, and just keep it at a friend level of conversation, of just getting to know them, to see if you like their personality, or you like their responses, or whatever it is, right? To see if there's any kind of intellect, where you're intellectual and they're intellectuals at a similar pace, where you can have a conversation, right? If you can't even do that, there's no point to try harder. It doesn't go anywhere, right? So I would say keep it at that friend level of just conversating. And of course, most guys, I would say within 3 seconds, you know if you like the person, okay? You have the looks, you have the intelligence, and you have the conversation, right? The very simple things. If you don't like the way somebody looks as a guy, to be honest, you never will. Okay, let's not beat around the bush. Guys know exactly who they like and why they like that person based on the looks, okay? And then it goes into the intellectual, right? Do you like the way they think? Do you like the way they respond? Does it attract you? And then, how they talk back to you. Like, do they, step on you, or do they like, understand you, or um, do they seem like empowering, right? Like, whatever that is, right? Every guy is different in what they like. However, the case, guys know exactly what they like in just a few seconds. Okay. So if you're talking to a guy for 6 months and they haven't asked you out, yes, one could be that they just don't know how to talk to you. Or to be honest, they might not just like you, right? They might not like you and they just see you as a friend. And that could happen. Okay. However, the case, like I would say in the very first beginning, especially first dates and first conversation, don't make it more complicated than it is. Don't think you got to date them. Don't think you got to fall in love. Don't think that they have to like you. You want to set a good first impression, but your first impression should be like very like general. Like, hey, this is who I am. I'm happy to meet you, and should they spark something, then you can think about, your second conversation, right? However, I would just say keep it very simple, because I think people make it more than what it should be, and you blow your chance, or at the same time you lose the opportunity, right? Because your first impression is very key. Okay, I would say let's dig into now that we have a general idea of really what you should think about in your mind when you're talking to somebody. What should you not do, right? What are the mistakes that people do that they should not do, in my opinion? Okay, you can go test this theory out. Okay, for every person is different because it also depends how you ask the question, how you lay the message when you ask the question, right? All of these things either make it awkward or it makes it a normal conversation, right? Like, for example, you don't meet somebody and say, hey, what is your name and would you like to have dinner, right? It doesn't happen like that. And also, you can't meet somebody and say, hey, oh, nice to meet you, Ben. Can we, like, do you like me, right? There's certain things you can't ask because it's not appropriate in the setting. Okay, however the case, I would say here's a few things I would say that you should not ask when you meet somebody, because it doesn't matter if it's for friendship or a relationship or to know more about the person. I think sometimes you're digging too much and then people feel scared and then they close up, right? They close up and now they don't want to talk to you or they get fearful, right? um, One question I would not ask is, how much do you make, right? I would say that this is a question when you're serious with the person. You start planning your life together, your career together, what you want to go someday, like where do you want to travel to, how do you plan your financial future. You can talk about that when you're actually in a serious relationship, okay? But I would say when you start off, just because they don't have a job automatically does not mean that they're not going to be the next CEO or business owner or a corporate executive. Okay. I would say that that's one of the big mistakes that I know females make, prejudging the males. Sometimes you should, okay. But most of the time, you should hear the story out and understand who the person is, what grit they have, what integrity they have before you judge who they really are. Okay. Um, because honestly, some of the wealthiest people that you meet day one, they don't have the best character. Okay. It depends, right? Just because they have money does not make them a great person. Okay. So I would say sometimes if you're falling victim of that, you're judging people based on their looks and their income, not really who they are as a person and their intellect and their integrity. And that's the reason why sometimes you have a kid with somebody and a year later you divorce and you move on, right? It doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to keep going through those kind of relationship, because your life is so short that if you don't focus on the right person, you're always with the wrong person. Okay. Second question I don't think you should ask is, do you want to get married someday? Okay, eventually, maybe the fifth or sixth date or fourth date or whatever, right? If you like that person and they like you and you're wanting to ask them out and stuff, okay, maybe you start asking that question, because I honestly feel like if you don't have the same life goals, for example, building a family, buying a home, getting married, if they don't have the same life goals in that aspect, don't waste your time. Okay. I don't care what they look like. I don't care how much money they have. You are chasing after your mission in life, your goals in life. And if your goals is to get married and have kids and they don't want anything to do with that, move on. Don't don't carry this burden of I love the person and maybe I can change him. No, you can't. Okay, you cannot change a man, and a man is not going to change for anybody. Now, will he change in some aspects because he's in love with you? Yes. But will he change to become a new man? No. Okay. Um, integrity driven people are integrity driven people, right? Spiritual people are spiritual people. They change based on what happens in their life. They will not change for anybody to become this new person that they're not. Because if they did, men would not know how to act if they're not in the right suit, right? They have to understand that this is who I am and I feel comfortable in this body. And, I'm a physical fitness guy, or I'm an athlete, or I'm none of those, right? You cannot take a guy that's not an athlete and turn them into athlete overnight. It is a mental process, okay? And a belief system. So I would say that if you date, go on a couple of days and you think you're going to take it seriously and you're going to, be boyfriend and girlfriend, you should probably ask that question at that time. Like, do you see yourself getting married someday? What are your plans for your future, if you do you want to have a family, right? You should ask these questions before you take it seriously, because if you don't ask these questions, I really think that you're digging yourself a hole. However, I don't think it's important to ask on your first date, okay? Because you don't know them and they don't know you. And sometimes you scare them, sometimes they scare you, right? Sometimes you just came out of a relationship and you're not ready to get married. So if a guy asked you that question, you would feel like, I don't know if I want to get married again, right? Build it up and see how you feel, right? So I would say that asking how much you make and asking if you want to get married, it's never, to me, is never a first date question, okay? It's like a few date question, okay? Not the first date question. Another thing is, do you want kids? Right? Going back to the marriage question, do you want kids? I want 5 kids. Do you want any kids? Save that for when you're in a relationship and you're going to be serious, right? I want to date you. We like each other. Um, by the way, you know what? In my life, I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to know if that is something that you are interested in. If not, we should not get serious and we should not date. Keep it very simple, okay? But that should be when you're getting serious, a couple dates out, never the first time, because some people don't know if they're ready for kids. Some people have kids already, right? So I would say that that question, unless is naturally a question that you both are curious about because you both came out of a relationship and you both had kids, you can talk about that question, right? However, I would say first date, it doesn't make sense, okay? Um, the other question I would say that may not be appropriate day one is, do you like me, or you think you like me, or do I like you? Or like, keep it at a level of friendship. Like, you know what? I like who you are, and this is fun, right? We've had good conversations. Do you want to do this again? Keep it very simple, right? Instead of I like you, I like how pretty you are, or whatever the case is, you're gonna scare people. I don't care if it's male or female. The more that you are interested in them, the farther they run away. It's always this cat mouse game in relationships, right? However, it could be very mutual that you like them and they like you. And if it's natural and you just gravitate towards that, then so be it, right? In some cases, it does happen like that. However, the case, in most cases, when you're talking to somebody, they're not there to like you or marry you or have kids with you, okay? They're there to get to know you like you're there to get to know them. If it's fun and if it's exciting and they like your intellectual and they like the conversations you have, women love to talk, okay? Women love to talk to you and women love you to listen to them, okay? And if you're not a talker and you're not a listener, you ain't going to get into no relationship. It's just not going to work. So it's all about the acceptance of, okay, well, what do you have to say, right? Or tell me about yourself, right? It's about those simple questions that will help you get to know them and them get to know you, and you eliminate these other questions, right? The other one I would say that a lot of women bring this up that I hear a lot of is, oh, do you have a college degree? Are you highly educated? How are your academics, right? Don't judge a man by their academics and their college degree. Okay. I would honestly tell you guys that if you did, most of the time, sometimes you can guess right. Most of the time, it's going to be a guy that already has you're just a number three, number four, right? Anybody who is highly academically achieved, why are they still single, right? Why are they rich and handsome and have a degree, a doctor, lawyer, and they're still single? I would be asking that question to myself or to them. If you're so good looking and you have such a good degree and they always talk about themselves, why are you single? How come nobody snatched you up yet? Right? I would be asking the why, the fearful question of why are you here? Why are you single? Right? However, the case, the reason why I say don't ask that college degree or the academic side is that academic and college degree does not build the character of the person. Okay, judge the person for the character of who they are and what their integrity is. Maybe they've made mistakes, maybe they're fearful of college, maybe they've gone and dropped out, maybe they went to school and they were in a relationship and it just like bumped heads and they're so stressed they couldn't finish, right? Don't ask that until it's appropriate. Okay. You can ask somebody, hey, what do you do for work, right? You can ask that question. That's not a big deal, but don't ask them these levels to squash them. Guys don't like to be criticized, and guys don't like to be judged based on what you think you know, right? Get to know the real person, and you'll be surprised, even if they don't have that degree, right? Coach Tony Robbins don't have a college degree, but how come he's a multi-billionaire, right? Not only are people rich who don't have a degree, they're very intellectual, they're very smart, and they have great stories to tell you based on their experiences, which makes them wealthy in where they are today in life, right? That's sometimes the greatest lessons we learn are lessons that we go through that's not tied to academics and wealth. It's tied to your struggles, it's tied to the failures, it's tied to the grit that you had to overcome. I mean, it's all the courage that you had to go through. I would rather find somebody who's failed a lot of times, but was never willing to quit in your life, because that means that as much as you struggle together, you're going to make it. You're going to do something about it, and you're going to push through, and you're going to have the courage and grit, and the just the heart to make things happen, right? So I'm not saying you can't ask that question. I'm just saying don't ask it up front, because it does not build the right character by just knowing that they have a degree or that they're a doctor. And if you're going on a date just because they're a doctor, number one mistake. Don't go on a date with somebody just because of background. You have a degree. Oh, he makes a lot of money. So what? Right? It's not just because you marry into that, it doesn't mean that that's your knowledge and your wisdom, right? Um, Again, I know people do that, and I'm not here to judge you on what you want to do. I'm just here to say that if you're going into those kind of relationship, you're setting yourself up for failure, because love does not come because people have money. Love comes because I can see you for who you are, and you can see me for who I am, and we can build a life together, right? That is the foundation of your relationship. If you don't have a foundation because they've already built their career and you're way down here, how does it make you that great of a person if that's what you're chasing after? However, again, I'm not here to judge you. Each person has their own, wisdom and greatness that they're after, and that's your choice. But I would say to build a real good relationship, you have to build a foundation. Your foundation is your platform, just like building a house. You put a gorgeous home on a horrible foundation on a slope hill, it's going to slide down the hill one of these years. Okay, it's just a matter of time. Um, Soil erosion, earthquakes, wind, hail, fire, whatever it is. If you're not on the right foundation and you're at an angle and the foundation is not secure, your house is going to shift, just like your life, right? So I would say that I'm not here to tell you who you should date. I'm just here to say that build a real foundation. Like them for who they are, and let them like you for who you are, and then build that platform foundation of love and intimacy and traveling and building a family together, whatever that is, right? Everything else becomes a plus when your foundation is solid, in my opinion. Okay. I would say that that is one of the strongest things that keeps a relationship alive. Is you're going to hit hard times. Okay. You're going to bump heads in a relationship. You're going to have hard times. You're going to have times that you lose money. You're going to have times that you make money. You're going to have times that you forget something. You're going to have times that you go on a trip and you're not happy, right? However, if your foundation is love and you love the person for who they are, you should never judge them for who they are. Okay. You could judge the things that we do that's not perfect. We're human, right? We're not perfect. We make mistakes, but you should never judge their character of who they are and why they do what they do. When you start to judge that, your foundation is going to tip. Okay. Your foundation is not solid. So I would say in life coaching, when you're coaching with a life coach in relationship, it is about building foundation that makes everything else work. Okay. So let's jump over here into what you should ask, right? And again, comment below if you have anything to add, if you have experience in this, or if you need help in this. Don't worry about people judging you, guys. Okay. That's the number one thing. Stop worrying about what people have to say about you. Who cares, right? Who cares what people have to say about you? The only person that matters is how you judge yourself. Don't let other noise and voices influence you. How you feel and who you are is how you're going to live every day. Okay. So if you have questions or if you have challenges on this, comment below and let's hear some feedback on what can help you and what can help motivate you to get to the next level. Okay. So what should you ask on a first date? Obviously, number one, like, what do you do, or like, who are you, right? You want to know who the person is. What is your name? Who are you? Where are you from? How long have you been here, right? Did you just move here? Simple questions to build friendship. Okay. Relationship is nothing more than a friendship that develops over time. Okay. In my opinion, if you don't have that relationship as a friendship of, man, I like you, I like who you are, I like how you think, I like what you do, I like to add you to my life, right? If you don't like the person, why would you add them to your life? Common sense question, right? You don't like them, don't add them to your life, because now you don't like yourself. Okay. Number two is like, okay, now that I know who you are, and what your name is, and what do you do, right? Maybe that goes all into one question. Maybe number two is, well, why are you single? I'm just curious. You sound like a great person, Sarah, you sound like a great person. I love your answers. Um, why are you single? How come guys haven't snatched you up yet, right? Give them some butterflies, right? Give them gratitude. Like, man, you're such a good person. Like, how come you're single, right? Just ask the question, right? Let them talk. Don't ask too much. Let them talk. I'm single because I went through a divorce. I'm single because I've never dated before. I'm single because I'm very nervous to talk to people, right? Whatever the question, whatever the answer is okay, right? And then they should be turning around asking you. So you better be preparing answers for all the question that you give, okay? Just because you give a question doesn't mean you don't know the answer. You got to be ready to answer the question too, right? It's a give and take, right? In a conversation. So again, ask them like, why are you single, right? You sound like a great person. And then kind of build off of that. And maybe your third question is like, okay, now that I know who you are, I know why you're single. Um, what do you love? What do you love to do? Right? Find out a little bit more about their character. Are they a hiker? Are they a philanthropist? Are they an animal activist? Are they a politician? Are they a religious person? Right? Don't ask them strictly about religion to begin with, but ask them like, what do you love to do? Right? Sarah, like, what do you love to do? I'm just curious. You sound like a great person, and you told me that you just haven't met the right one. Well, what do you love to do? You know what? I'm just curious, right? Let them talk again. Ask the question, let them talk. Don't talk for people. That's the number one mistake I see men and women do. And sometimes I see a little bit of more women doing this. Okay. However, I'm not here to judge. Okay. I'm not here to tell you right or wrong. So I'm just here to give an opinion. Okay. Don't tell somebody, don't put words in their mouth. Let them tell you. Okay. Like, okay, I know a little bit about you. You sound like a great person. You said that you haven't met the right person. Okay, that's great. Okay, well, tell me more, right? Tell me more. Like, what do you love to do? Oh, I love to hike, and I love the outdoors. And people can't lie about this if you're telling them to tell you first. If you tell them what you like and then they say they like the same thing, they're just sugarcoating, okay? I would say just ask them, right? Ask the simple common sense question. What do you like to do, right? What do you like to do? And if you like it, then you tell them, man, I love the same thing. I would love to do it with you sometimes, right? If you don't like it, you may not be compatible, right? Who knows, right? It's not one thing that makes everybody compatible. Sometimes opposites always attract. So it depends. Okay. Ask that question, and then maybe a follow-up question, maybe the fourth question. So like who they are, why they're single, what they love to do. Maybe you ask them, well, would you like to do that with me sometime? Or would you like another date? Or, and again, this is depending on if you're kind of towards the end of the date or not, right? Um, you can ask that, and you can go into other questions, but at the same time, I would say knowing yourself and knowing how to talk to people, the conversations are natural. You don't have to have a book of questions, but if you need to, write down a lot of questions that you're curious about and answer them first before you ask somebody else. Okay. That's the rule of business. If you're doing business with somebody and you ask a question and you don't know the answer to it, you have a problem. Your sales is not going to happen, right? Whether you're selling a car or a house or a motorcycle, I don't matter what you're selling. If you don't know the answer, don't ask the question. Because if you ask the question to somebody in that conversation and they ask you and you don't know, they're not going to buy from you. So in a relationship, when you're asking the question, hey, Sarah, why are you single? And you don't know why you're single, then don't ask that question. But first and foremost, you need help. Write down a list of questions that you would like to know and you would ask yourself and then answer it for yourself. We call that script practice. Okay. Then you get to practice. Oh, this is why I'm single. This is why I like this. This is why I don't like this. Maybe you need to get to know yourself better, right? Because also I've seen that to be a big issue in relationship is you don't know yourself and you're trying to date somebody and have them know you. No, it doesn't work, right? Ask a lot of questions to yourself and find out who you are, right? Who am I? What do I like? Why do I like doing this? Why do I not like doing this? Heck, why am I single, right? Why am I single if I'm such a great person? Don't comb your ego too much, but just ask the question, right? Maybe it is your ego why you're single. Maybe your ego is that I'm the best and you're a narcissist, and then stop being that. A narcissist and narcissists are just going to bump head and you're going to say you're better and she's going to say she's better. It's never going to work out, right? Sometimes you got to change your ideology of who you are intellectually, interior wise, in order to bond with somebody else. Okay. Nobody that has that much of an ego and narcissist attitude is going to find the right person. Sometimes you look good, you have good intention, you have good wit, you're a great person, but you have a big ego that you're the best that ever walked the planet Earth. No, you're not, right? You're only as good as your counterpart. If you're that good, why are you single? I'm curious, right? If you are that good in business, in bed, whatever you want to call it, you're the best that has ever walked the planet, you look the best, how come you're single? Right? If you had all the tools that the opposite sex wanted in you, they would be with you. If they don't want you, you're not as good as you think you are. It does not mean that you want to go jump off a bridge, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm saying take a step back, get to know who you are, change the things that you don't like about yourself and your attitude, and all of the women around you or men around you will change because they will see you in a different light, right? Every person, I kid you not, okay? I challenge you guys to this question. How many women already know the house they want before they see it? How many women want a granite countertop or quartz countertop, gorgeous color, okay, with stainless steel appliance, white trim in the house with gray tones or white tones, okay, a beautiful kitchen, maybe a cooker's kitchen that has double oven, okay, with a huge overhead vent, and 10-foot ceilings with wood beams and recessed lighting. What woman doesn't want that? Right? I'm just telling you guys, after so many years in the business, every woman, I don't care what color you are, where you're from, you want the same kitchen. Okay. You want a woman's kitchen. I call it a woman's kitchen. Gorgeous and granite and awesome hardwood floors and, you know, everything shiny and stunning and stainless steel and it feels glamorous like diamonds. You don't care too much about the basement. You don't care about the size of the garage, right? It's the kitchen and the bathroom and how gorgeous is the bed. Do I have a bay window or a large picture window to look out, right? All women want the same thing. Women know what they want. Okay. They think about this when they're 2 years old, right? My 3 year old daughter, when she was young, she already knew she liked guys and she likes this guy and she likes these toys and she wants to be a princess. Girls think about this their whole life. Okay. If you never had a kid, I'm just telling you guys, girls think about this at a very young age. Men, no. They don't know what they want to become. They don't know who they want to become. They don't know how much money they want to make. They don't know what kind of house they want to live in. It doesn't matter. They just want to have fun, right? They want to have fun and they want to play with their toys and they want you to play with them and they just want to enjoy the moment. But that's why you have the differences that attract. You have a man that wants to get things done. You have a woman that wants it a certain way, right? And so you put the two together and life happens, right? So I'm just saying that when you're having a conversation, most women know what they want. They know what they're looking for. You have to be what they're looking for and who they want. How do you do that? You take care of your internal self first. You take care of who you are, What do you know about yourself? What can you change to make yourself better? How do you make yourself better? Present it physically, intellectually, right? Emotionally. Emotional intelligence goes way, way beyond just success in life, right? You got to have emotional intelligence to fall in love. That's just my honest opinion. If you don't have emotional intelligence, you can't fall in love. If you don't know when to hug her and when to kiss her and when to hold her and when to, let her do her thing, you don't understand women. So women would say you don't understand how you can't read between the lines. What is reading between the lines? It's having emotional intelligence to know when to do something, when not to do something, when to say something, when not to say something. And it doesn't mean it won't come out. Okay. We're guys. Okay. When you get angry, something's going to come out. You got to figure out, oh, crap. Well, now I got to go back and apologize, right? It's life. You give and you take, and you give and you take, and you make life work. That's why they call it making love. Make love work, right? Make your relationship work, right? Intimacy is not just sexual. Intimacy is holding their hand, hugging them, shoulder to cry on, right? I got this. I'm here to back you up, right? It's that's intimacy. It's just building that bond that they know that you always got their back, right? I would say that that is the number one reason why women will leave their man is if you don't got their back, they don't feel safe, they don't feel secure, and intimately you're not involved. Like you don't know how to hold their hand, and you don't hold their hand enough, right? Honestly, you hold that woman's hand enough and you're always there to back her up, and you go out there and do exciting things and you keep it changing. Okay, don't do the same crap every year, every week, every month. Women truly love inspired men who do different things unintentionally and randomly. We all love surprises, right? But again, there is no right or wrong way. Okay, there is no right or wrong way. There is only your way and her way when you're in that relationship and you make it work. Okay. Nobody has 50% control and then she has 50% control. No, that's not how relationships work, right? You take 100% control when you're making that decision and let her take 100% control when she wants to make a decision, where to go, why. You pick a place and let's go, right? Let the woman choose. What is she going to choose? I bet you there's going to be some ocean water nearby. I bet you there's going to be a nice cabin or a resort nearby. Okay. I bet you there's going to be a sunrise and a sunset. All women love the beach. They love to feel pretty. They love to feel glamorous. They love to see the ocean. They love to see beautiful things. If you can give that to your woman and understand who you are, and, you know, I don't see why you would be single, right? It does not take a lot of intellectual power or a lot of money to find the right one in your life. It takes some intellectual thinking about yourself. It takes some perspective. It takes combing your ego back and putting her first and your family first. And if you care about her, you care about your family, you care about building a foundation together, there's no woman in this world that doesn't want you. That's just my opinion. Okay. So again, um, that's just what I want to let you guys know. I know it's a little bit longer than normal. However, I got to get going, got appointments to get to. So I will connect with you guys next Tuesday. If you have any questions, comment below. I will, if you have certain things topic wise that you want to cover, let me know. I would be happy to cover it next time. And again, normally I do these on Tuesdays unless things are booked up and then I push it out a day. Okay. But I will see you guys next week. And again, I won't be in hometown. So wherever I'm traveling to, I would be doing a live when I'm traveling and having a conversation with you guys. And again, I appreciate you guys and your time. Please like, subscribe, share on my YouTube channel. And again, I hope we can have more conversations. Okay. Conversations with people, especially when you're trying to build a relationship, it should be fun. Stop making it so complicated. Stop making it one-sided. Stop making it about him or her. Talk about relationship. Talk about what you love. Talk about what they love. Talk about what you can love together. And eventually that will be you guys. Okay. So I hope the best for you guys, all the single men and women out there. I hope you find who you're looking for. If I can help in any way, and if I can coach you in any way, if you need coaching or anything, let me know. Be happy to help you guys out. That is what I'm here for. That is my true mission and calling in life. Is not tied to just real estate. It's tied to changing lives and giving to people whatever it is that I've learned in my lifetime before our time is up. Right. So I appreciate you guys and your time. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys on next week, Tuesday, Real Talk Tuesday. with Georgine. All right. Thank you guys. Bye bye.